For decades, we've been told a pretty simple story about heart disease, right? Cholesterol clogs our arteries, kind of like rust in a pipe. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the real bad guy is a hidden fuel, one that actually turns our own immune system against us? Today, we're diving into the secret metabolic battle that might just be the real cause of heart disease. So before we get into the new stuff, let's just appreciate the scale of the problem we're talking about. Atherosclerosis, that's the technical term for the hardening of our arteries, is the inflammatory condition behind most heart attacks and strokes, and it is responsible for about 1 in every 3 deaths worldwide. That's a massive global health crisis. But here's the thing, here's the mystery. That whole clogged pipes theory, it just doesn't explain why so many people have heart attacks, even when they don't have the classic risk factors like super high cholesterol. It tells us something much more complicated is going on. It's not a simple blockage, it's more like an active biological war happening right inside the artery wall. To solve this mystery, we need a totally new set of clues. And luckily, scientists are finding them in this amazing field called immunometabolism. Basically, it's the study of how the fuel an immune cell is burning directly controls what it does, whether it acts like a good guy or a bad guy. This right here is the key to understanding that hidden battle inside our arteries.
Okay, so let's start our investigation right where the action is, at the scene of the crime. We're going to go inside an arterial plaque and see step by step how these dangerous things actually get built.
So you can think of it like a wound that just never, ever heals. It all starts with a little bit of damage to the artery's inner lining, from things like high blood pressure or smoking. This little tear lets the bad LDL cholesterol sneak into the artery wall where it doesn't belong. So our immune system, of course, sends in the first responders, cells called macrophages, to clean up the mess. But they get completely overwhelmed. They just gorge on so much cholesterol, they turn into these bloated, puffy things called foam cells. And as these foam cells pile up and die, they form a plaque that grows and grows and can eventually rupture, triggering a life-threatening blood clot. And these foam cells, they are the smoking gun. They're our own immune cells. They're supposed to be helping, but instead of fixing the problem, they become the problem. They get stuck, they pump out all these inflammatory signals, and they make the whole situation way more dangerous and unstable. Which leads us to the most important question of all. What is causing this to happen? Why do our body's own defenders suddenly switch sides and start fueling the very disease they're supposed to be fighting? Well, the answer, as it turns out, is all about what they're eating. It's their metabolism.
So now let's profile our main suspects, the immune cells themselves. Because what we're about to see is that their behavior, whether they act like a hero or a villain, really just comes down to one critical choice: the kind of fuel they decide to burn. You see, a macrophage really has 2 different faces. The villain macrophage is what we call pro-inflammatory. It runs on a fast and kind of dirty fuel process called glycolysis. Think of it like burning raw sugar for a quick, chaotic burst of energy. And it uses that energy to just pump out inflammatory signals that make the plaque angry and unstable. But on the other side, you have the hero macrophage. It's anti-inflammatory. It runs on a super clean, efficient engine called oxidative phosphorylation, or OXPHOS for short. And that allows it to just calmly clean up debris and help repair the tissue.
And you know what? This isn't just about macrophages. We see the exact same split, the same metabolic rule in other immune cells, like T cells. The aggressive effector T cells, they also run on that fast-burning glycolysis, and we find them in the most dangerous, unstable plaques. Meanwhile, the peacekeeper regulatory T cells run on that efficient OXPHOS, and we find them in more stable, less threatening plaques. The bottom line is, the cell's fuel choice determines its entire job description. So this, of course, leads us to the next layer of the mystery. If the fuel choice is so incredibly important, what's actually controlling that switch? What signals are telling these immune cells to become either heroes or villains in the first place? Well, the answer seems to lie with a group of accomplices that we've kind of overlooked for a long time: metabolites. These are tiny molecules that we used to think were just, waste products of metabolism. But now we know they're actually powerful, secret messengers, sending signals that directly tell our immune cells what to do. And these signals come from some pretty surprising places. For example, some come from the trillions of bacteria living in your gut. They can produce protective signals, like short-chain fatty acids, or harmful ones, like a molecule called TMAO.
Other signals, like a powerful anti-inflammatory called etonicate, are actually produced by our own immune cells, almost like an emergency brake to stop inflammation. This table really just lays it all out. You've got protective metabolites, like those short-chain fatty acids from your gut, and itaconate from your own cells that encourage the hero immune cells. But then you have harmful metabolites, like TMAO, also from the gut, which push immune cells toward that villain state, driving inflammation and making everything worse. It's this constant tug of war, and it's being influenced by what's happening both inside and outside our bodies. Okay, so we've got our suspects and their secret signals. We're starting to understand what's going on. But what does cracking this case really mean for the future? How does this help us actually fight heart disease? This is where things get really, really exciting. This is the next chapter in the story, because this new understanding gives us brand new targets for treatment, offering a level of precision in fighting this disease that we've just never had before. And hey, don't just take my word for it. The scientists who are doing this research put it perfectly. They called immunometabolism a gold mine for new therapies. So this isn't just a small update. It's a huge, fundamental shift in how we think about heart disease. So what could this future actually look like? Well, instead of just focusing on lowering cholesterol, we could develop drugs that target the metabolic engines inside immune cells, basically forcing them to burn that clean fuel and act like heroes. We could use specific diets or probiotics to actually change our gut bacteria, encouraging them to make more of those protective signals. Or we could even create supplements like etonicate to directly boost our body's own natural anti-inflammatory defenses. And let's bring this all the way back to the beginning. This new science finally helps us solve that initial mystery. It gives us a way to understand why someone with totally normal cholesterol might still develop aggressive heart disease. It could be that their immune system's metabolism is just out of whack, creating this chronic inflammation that drives the disease all on its own, completely separate from those traditional risk factors. And so this leaves us with the ultimate question moving forward. Which of these metabolic levers can we actually pull? Which enzymes or supplements can we use to not just slow this disease down, but to actively prevent it, to make plaques more stable? Or maybe, just maybe, even reverse the damage that's already been done? We've found the hidden fuel. Now the race is on to figure out how to control it.